Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Nile Scala, with another exciting adventure. Episode 80 of Crowdfunding Comics. Mr. Tucci, how we doing tonight, my friend?
Ocho, ocho, ocho. How do you say 80 in Spanish? Do you know?
I don't know. El 80o.
Well, I'm doing great, buddy. I'm doing really great. How are you today?
I'm doing great, but I have to tell you, Billy, you're looking smooth tonight, brother. You're looking
Am I looking smooth? Are we looking good? Are we looking smooth?
You are looking good. You are looking smooth. I mean, what did you do? Did you do something with your hair? Did you get an injection? What's going on here?
No, I got the JPC added to the Blevins Media Center. I got one of our pals, JP, hooked me up with this dual monitor, new video card PC, my first PC ever. I don't know if you know this, but I've owned Macs exclusively since 1994 when I got my first Power Mac 6100, and that's all I've ever had were Apple computers. And this is my first non-Apple computer, my first PC, and I gotta tell you, Scala, I'm pretty fucking happy. I'm sorry. I'm pretty freaking happy with it.
You're pretty what? Fracking happy,
We said this show isn't for children, right?
No, because, they select it now. So I'm like, no, not for kids.
Yeah, I'm pretty friggin' happy with it. I'm ecstatic. And my audio's coming through, and I'm not glitching, right?
Yeah, no, everything's coming through. You're smooth. I'm loving it, man. It's a great setup.
It is a great setup. I got to take a picture and I'll share it with everybody.
Welcome to the world of the PC, bro.
So anyway, let's say, wait, is this episode 79 or 80? I thought it was 79.
This is technically 79, but 79 is going to air Thursday because our guests for 79 are on Thursday. So these guys are 80. This is episode 80, and that's what I'm celebrating.
All right. Well, let's celebrate with these two great guys. So anyway, greetings, crowdfunding centurions and crusaders all across the world and the fruited plain of these great United States. Tonight are two Indiegogo creators who are in demand, and I'm very interested in that. We'll get to that later on. But they're not in demand just for their projects, Nile. They're in demand for their talent.
Oh
yes, that just happened.
Anyway, just happened.
So on one side, we have the last human survivor in an apocalyptic battle between androids and aliens. Yet on the other, we have a suited-up samurai demigod going to seek vengeance until his enemies have been vanquished, every single one. So without further ado, or don't, Nile, would you like to make the introduction?
I would love to make the introduction. Everyone, we are here to gather the special Michael Beacon and Mike Murphy. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Yeah, boys.
Doing good. Doing good. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you fine gentlemen tonight. So, no stranger to the Indiegogo scene, these two fine gentlemen right here. And both of you with successful campaigns and are now riding the waves of the In Demand.
Yep.
Yup, indeed,
yeah.
Mr. Beacon. Yup, indeed.
And I've got lots of questions to ask because I'm very, very excited. I'm very interested in that because we went in demand with Zombie Sama, but it wasn't very long.
Okay.
So I'm going to be asking you guys some questions just for selfish reasons as well, if that's okay.
Well, hopefully I got answers for you.
I guess the more important question, though, and we really need to get this right off the table right now, it's a bit controversial, but I think we need to talk about Mr. Beacon's addiction to popping bubble wrap.
Oh, my God. Is that true?
Yeah, look at the roll behind him. The guy can't get enough of it.
Yeah, that's actually like a plastic sleeve. These are actually my fulfillment supplies that I've been able to order so far.
Oh, you're all getting ready to go then, buddy, huh?
Yep, got the posters. Let's see, let's line this up. Posters, bottom levels. Got the bags under right there. Bookmarks by Simon Sempothier. Got one right here.
Oh, well.
Nice. Simon.
Yep. And that's for the posters up top.
Beautiful.
Look at you, bro.
Awesome.
Look at you for starting to fulfill and to make your customers all happy and giddy with joy during this holiday season.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just the things that I can get right now. That I know how many I'll need. But yeah, I'm looking to fulfill possibly in March, unless we fund our next stretch goal, which will mean we're going to be doing issue 3. So yeah, I'm getting everything I can ready right now. So
you made a stretch goal for the campaign is a whole nother book?
Yep, issue 3. It's going to be 30 pages.
Oh wow!
I'm excited to do that issue because it's going to be gruesome.
Awesome.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Murphy's.
Now,
Murphy's like gruesome.
Yeah, he's like, let's do this. Now, are you two familiar with yourselves as
Oh, yeah.
fellow Indiegogo campaigners?
With one another, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
Intimately.
I think we used to stream with Narwhal a while back, like back when you did the kids table.
Yeah, that's how I first got to know Beacon. Yeah, so we kind of go back a long ways, but like honestly, we've only talked like a handful of times, like in person. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
we've
let's.
got lots of. We're going to tell lots of secrets about the both of you right now because Frank Amazing has uncovered some scoop and some dirt, hasn't he, Nile?
Oh, he did. That whole FBI research thing. This thing is great. Man,
Yeah, really.
Beacon's got
Really
quite the
is.
past here, and Murphy. I don't even know if we can even say half this shit on here. I don't know, dude.
Don't
It's gonna be
snitch.
insane. Yeah.
But we will.
The snitch got the itch, and I may have to talk. I'm telling you that right now. But
All right.
So, Mr. Murphy, let me ask you, my friend. I'm gonna start with you. How did you even get into this world of comics? Give us your origin story.
Well, I mean, I've like a lot of people in the community, I've been into comics my whole life, and I took a few years. I detoured and like was in a band for like 5 years, but it came to that point where I had to choose. Like this was in college, so 10 plus years ago. I had to choose between one or the other, and I chose comics. And so my wife and I met in Chicago, and then we relocated out here to Portland. And our plan originally, because we were young and not too bright, was, well, hey, we'll just move and start making content and everything will just work out. And then we learned the realities of the comic book industry.
Right.
So, like we kind of built up, careers for ourselves, honestly, outside of comics. Like, I work freelance, writing and illustrating. She works freelance illustrating, but the majority of our income is from outside of comics. And it was about a year ago to the day that we took a meeting with a publisher, and it really kind of soured me to the whole experience. And I think I came back and I was actually watching one of Ethan's streams, and I was just watching everyone enjoy themselves and like actually doing what it is that they love doing. And I was sitting there like, why are we wasting our time like trying to break over the wall into an industry that really doesn't seem interested in us? And kind of right there committed to this new, indie scene / Comicsgate, whatever you want to label it. And it's been a year and it's completely changed our lives way for the better.
Now, how many books have you guys actually, how many campaigns have you done?
This is our second campaign. Our first campaign, we had to run twice, actually. The first time we launched a year to the day, and we kind of did everything wrong. Namely launching in December. So that was Samurai and Dinosaurs. We relaunched in March, and we were funded by April, and we went in demand until the end of July.
Okay.
And we've fulfilled digital, and right now our books are in print, and I'll be fulfilling physical through all of January.
Oh, very
Outstanding. Yeah, we actually gave you guys a crowdfunding call out.
You did.
Yeah,
I was so
because
grateful
we were
for
like,
that.
wow, this looks awesome.
good. Yeah, a couple of times because I know we were trying to get you on the show back when that campaign was going and it didn't work out. So we did do a few. I think we threw that in a couple times for you guys. So glad it worked out a bit, and glad we can finally have you on the show. And Mr. Beacon, same question, man. How'd you get into all this crazy stuff?
I've this is like my first comic, first Indiegogo too. I tried to like I've had this comic idea in mind for like about since senior year of high school in 2007.
Oh,
and
don't say that, dude. Oh, you graduate 2007, me too.
And I feel old. That was 2003. Shit.
But like, I tried to launch it as a web comic in like 2010. Barely got any eyes on it, and then I tried to do it again in 2014 as a actual comic, and I got ghosted.
What's that mean?
That means like you just sort of cut off contact and just disappeared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then
it's like when you go out with a chick and you're like, "Hey, this was a great night," and she's like, "Yeah, give me a call tomorrow," and you're like, "All right, cool," and then you call and she doesn't answer, and then you call again, she doesn't answer, so then you go to her house and she doesn't answer, and then you try to open her window and she doesn't answer. That's like being ghosted.
And only in this case, I checked in on his profile again. He was working on some My Little Pony fan fiction, so that was interesting.
Bronies all the way.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But now I've successfully finished issue 1. We're doing issue 2 right now, and it's I'm working with Pablo Romero and Henry Ponciano. Henry Ponciano did Tinseltown for Alterna, and actually me and Pablo are working on another comic together, Cyborg USA. I think you had them on a while back.
Yes, we did.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, Pablo just recently finished his contribution to issue 2, so yeah, we're doing well on schedule. So
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, Beacon, what growing up and stuff, I mean, were you always into comics? Was it something you grew up with, or was it something later in life that became a passion and an influence?
I've in my childhood I was into comics a lot. Like I get a lot of Spider-Man, got a lot of Spawn because my parents didn't realize that not all comics were for kids. And
Excellent.
Yeah.
Lost interest in it for a while because it's hard to keep comics around because I'm from a big family and lots of younger brothers and sisters would shred them. So then eventually I got back into them in around 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Nice, Mike. Mr. Murphy, because you're both Mikes.
Yes.
You got the M&Ms tonight. Don't melt in my hands, fellas.
Nice, dude.
There you
M&M.
go.
Nice.
The M&Ms.
I won't say the first half of that.
Don't melt in my hands. So let me ask you now, what about you? Was it growing up comics were like, were they everything to you, always reading comics, or again, was it kind of something later in life that took interest?
No, it was my whole life. My dad was a big nerd. He ran fanzines back in the 70s, and he ran like a miniature / hobby / comic shop in the early 80s. So
Oh, that's
it was
cool.
just, yeah, it was just kind of something that I always grew up with. And, I guess I've been stubborn and single-minded since I was a kid, because like there was never a point where I was like, oh, that's not what I'm doing. And but I didn't understand like storytelling and stuff, and I didn't understand the process of making comics. And I think it was when Batman the Animated Series premiered. Like I watched that first episode, and you see the opening, and it's the Bruce Timm artwork is just so dynamic and like just grabs you. And I was like, well, that's obviously what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I don't know how, but I'm doing that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Darwin Cook actually did that opening. That's all Darwin's work.
I was just actually going to say that. I didn't even realize Darwin worked on that. And
Yeah,
then I was
that's
watching
what
it.
He did a lot of work with it, but he did the opening.
I only saw his
credit
credits
roll
on
there.
that second. So when they came out with like the redesigned, they kind of did like that second. What was it? What was that? The Adventures of Batman and Robin or something?
Batman and Robin, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like they redesigned the characters a little bit. I thought that was the only one Darwin was involved in.
No, he worked on the first one.
He did.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I thought he didn't come in until Batman Beyond.
No. He did the opening to the Bruce Timm, the first Batman.
Oh, that's awesome.
Darwin's my heart. Like that's one of my biggest regrets in life that I never got to meet him.
Yeah. I'm with you on that
he
list.
was
I'm on that list with you.
he was a prince of a man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
And we're all, our industry and our world is a lot less without him in it. He really was just such a sweet guy and a loyal friend. And, talk about talent,
Yeah, for sure.
Mike Allred had said one time that, that Darwin was the most confident artist he had ever met. And he was so confident in his abilities, humble. He would never ever brag about his work or his abilities and stuff. But just the way when he would start drawing, holy cow, it would take him, a few minutes to do what would take, normal people 2 hours. That's how good he was, and what a professional. And it sucks. We all miss him. I'll tell you that. But you would have loved him. Trust me.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Nile.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Murphy, when you said that you were meeting a year ago to a publisher, you met with a publisher. Was it for any particular book? And would you mind telling us who they are? If you don't feel comfortable telling us who they are, that's fine. But how did it go? Like, what discouraged you? Was it what they offered you, or what their expectations were of you? What made you go to taking a meeting with a publisher and then saying, this really isn't for us. Let's do it ourselves.
Sure. It was kind of all of that rolled into one. And yeah, I mean, I'll say it. Like I was just, trying to be an adult and wear a suit, but like I've said it publicly plenty of times. The meeting was with IDW because they at the time had opened up a satellite office here in Portland.
Okay.
And it was that thing of we were referred by a friend of a friend, and we got this meeting set up, and the office had just opened, so they were still setting stuff up, and we got the tour of the place, and like there's like priceless art all on the walls, and it's just they're really like rubbing in like, hey, we're IDW. And the second we get into the office and he closes the door and sits down, like the first words out of his mouth are, none of us are doing this to get rich. And I was like, I mean, at the time, like being on the outskirts of the industry and, working as a professional freelancer, I was just kind of indoctrinated to that mindset of that whole starving artist thing of like, well, yeah, of course none of us are doing this to get rich, like the love of comics and all that stuff. And, like I'm glad in hindsight that like the meeting didn't really go anywhere. Like there was talk of like possibly working on like a fill-in issue or a one-shot for like one of the Ninja Turtles titles that they publish. And like the initial offer was really, really low to the point where like it maybe would have paid like one or two of my bills.
Right.
And it was just that thing of like, by the time I got home, I was furious, and I was like, so I'd be working on this like 32-page book for the better part of like a month, and I wouldn't even be able to pay rent after it. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
So that was the point, and especially like tuning into Ethan and the guys, that was the point where I was like, do I just keep taking meetings like this, or do I just focus on actually putting out the books that I'm passionate about and I want to see out there?
Yep, and see, that's it. And that's it. You listen to guys like that, right? You see someone like Ethan. Now, I don't know who gets, I guess you become a stockbroker to be rich, right? I mean,
sure.
You don't become a doctor, most people, to get rich, but, if you do, that's pretty freaking great.
That's the plus, I mean, I think at the back, in reality, in the back of everyone's mind, they want their creation, they want their books to be big and successful, because there's nothing wrong with being rich.
No.
There's nothing wrong with having the means to continue doing what you love, so I think everyone getting into comics does want to be rich. They want to be.
Who doesn't want to be rich? That's the thing. Is like, I'm sure that every actor. You know what I mean? You ask Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Michael Douglas, people like that. If they did, I didn't get into acting to be rich, but they sure to hell love being rich. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And why start with a defeatist attitude?
Money buys happiness, people. It truly buys happiness.
It does.
It pays for your vacations. It pays for your life experiences. It pays for everything you want to do. Money buys happiness.
Yes, it does.
Damn poor people in their.
Because I've had times where I've had a lot of money, and I've had times when I haven't had a lot of money. And let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot better to have a lot of money. You're a hell of a lot happier with a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, walking into the meeting, I wasn't expecting like buckets of money to be dropped on me, but it's like, like if we're talking about a trade, a craft, like I at least want to be financially stable while I'm helping you build your catalog of titles,
Right.
Yeah.
And to make a living, right?
Yeah.
Every man, every woman, every human being deserves to earn a living,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, we're not doing this for the love. We all got into it, I guess, for the love, right?
Well, there's
Yeah.
a love to it. There's a passion that
Yeah.
is your
Of course.
kickstart to it. But there's other means after that, other motivational factors.
Yeah,
Now,
I
Mr.
could see
Beacon.
I could see that being infuriating for someone to come out, and say that unless,
Well, you'd almost
unless
think it's like insulting, right? You're going to a publisher, one of the top 5, right? And the first
Right.
comment is, no one gets into comics to be rich. So it's like two things. Like, well, what are you telling me? My work sucks? Or are you telling me, hey, your work's good. I'm going to pay you real cheap. We're going to make a lot
Yeah.
of money off you, and I'm going to pay you pennies. So it's like,
Right.
that's, what type of image are you trying to portray?
Yeah,
Right.
Malin heard that. And Malin's reaction was, well, that's the exact opposite thing that you say. You say, like, hey, we're going to pay you a decent wage, and we're, like the rowboat analogy, like, we're all moving this ship and trying to go in the same direction. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he should have said to you, instead of this defeatist, thing of, like, well, what even is money,
That's silly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yeah, and it
silly.
is infuriating. It really is, because again, you're going to work a month, and that's what they expect. They expect you to work, like I said, a month on an issue, and get paid garbage.
Right.
I mean, I had posted out there how much if you were to write a comic, one of the mainstream titles, Spider-Man, let's say, how much do you make off of Spider-Man? Like in royalties. And I had a very higher up at one of the big 2 called me and told me that they start paying you royalties for if you just wrote it. So they give 5% in royalties. They give 2% for the penciler, 2% for the writer, and 1% to the inker. I've heard that they give colorists that now as well, but he didn't mention that. He just told me the 5%. So if you did a comic that sold 100,000 copies, you would make 2% of the cover price with sales starting over 70,000 copies. And this is a major higher up, like top tier higher up. And so you basically would make like $3,500 off of right, or $2,700 off of selling off of an issue of Spider-Man royalties.
Right.
And that's insane. How can anyone make a living doing that? Because you probably, if you're writing Spider-Man, maybe you're getting paid, $150, maybe $200 a page per script, which is great. But holy crap,
Yeah, for sure.
That's nuts. I mean, I remember, if I may hijack this conversation for a second, when I did Sergeant Rock the Lost Battalion, it was truly a labor of love for me. Because I lost so much money making that book. But I wanted to, and thank God I married a smart woman that she had some money put away for us that we were able to, use some of our savings, and plus I was doing all kinds of comic conventions and all. But with Sergeant Rock the Lost Battalion, I think the year it took me to do that book, I think I made $38,000. That's it.
Wow.
For the year.
Really?
Making that comic. And then I sold pages and stuff the next year afterwards.
Yeah.
But that's, my wife's like, how much money you made this year? I'm like, well, what? I don't know. 100? It's like 38,000.
Oof.
That's how much we brought in.
Ouch.
And, it's what sucks is that, and that's not bad money. It's not. But when you have a wife and 2 children, you know what I mean? And you live in a high tax state, that doesn't cut the mustard. And it took me a while to really learn that. And like you guys, listening to Ethan, listening to Brian Polito, watching Doug, watching Jimmy Palmiotti, watching all these people doing their own books. I'm like, you know what? I did this, 25 years ago. I did this, but I was nervous, right? And I'm sure you guys did the same thing. Or I'm curious to ask, I was terrified of doing a crowdfunded comic, of bringing She back, because what if it fails?
Right.
Then where do you go? Sort of thing. And are you perceived as a failure? And, thank goodness ours did pretty good. So I'm happy with that. But it's a lot of work, as you could attest to. But when you guys did your books, were you afraid? Like, like, okay, Michael Beacon, you took this leap, right, to do it. I'm going to do this book. How were you ready to launch that book? Were you terrified? Like, how did you reach like a wider audience and to get it be able to be fulfilled?
Yeah, I was a bit nervous about it because I'm usually pretty terrible on streams. I started out pretty terrible on streams, and then I was just like, I got used to it over time. But it took forever to gain traction on it, and we finally got funded, and it was a photo finish. I mean, last few hours, we finally crossed over that goal. But the whole time I was thinking, I was making contingency plans, like, okay, if we don't make it this time, I can relaunch in the spring and try again. We'll have, by that point, we'd have issue 2 finished, and we could just launch and be like, hey, we could fund issue 3. Mm-hmm. But we wound up reaching that goal, and now we're, the whole time I was sort of nervous, especially toward the end. It was like, I was like, okay, we need to be making this much to reach our goal in time. We started that last day with like 1,000 left to fund, and we reached that finally by the end of the day, and it was awesome.
And you did it, and then you have, and now you're packing up, right? I mean, right? Yeah. Now look, he's got boxes of supplies right there, and you're packing up and ordering all your fulfillment stuff for something you own.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? This is what you own.
Yeah,
that's great, and it's great to, you know what I mean. And there is that, and I love how you guys mentioned the inspiration. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're on, both mics. You know, I don't know what to do. I'm worried. And then also you put on Ethan's show. You put on, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. You put it on, and you watch it, and also you're like, yeah, I can do this. You get inspired, right? And their enthusiasm. If you look at EVS's enthusiasm and some of the guys on there, and enthusiasm's contagious, right?
Oh yeah.
So I bet you watch this saying, man, these guys can do it. These guys are rock stars. And a lot of them, Ethan's been doing comics for a long time, so he's a real established superstar. But a lot of the guys on the show, they're new guys in comics. They haven't had a track record of 20 years in comics, right? So I think that's kind of cool that it's not like a whole bunch of pros sitting there talking, guys that have been doing comics for 20 years or so. It's a great eclectic group of young people and like new creators or fans that have always wanted to do their own comic and end up doing it. And I just love it. I just love that how social media can be a positive thing.
Yeah.
And one thing before,
what it did for you guys kicking ass now.
Yeah. And one thing that really got me going at the start, like a week before I launched, I actually sent it, Malin was doing a stream where he was critiquing people's artwork, and I actually linked him to this poster for the campaign, and that, him and Ethan both loved it, and got me excited. I was like, okay, I can do this now. I can do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, Ethan's on. Ethan's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just popped in.
There's that poster.
EVS, what's up? Thank you, bro, for all your help the other night. I called you and I left a message. That is a great poster too.
Oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? Oh, Lee Ditzworth's here. Hey, Lee. I just opened the chat, so. TJ, what's up? Sorry, I'm saying hello to Mandy.
Isn't it great though? Like what is built up over even just like the past year, right? Look at 2019. Yeah. Look at the stuff, and then you want to talk about Ethan. You talk about even Billy here or Polito and just guys in the industry that are so accessible and open to really helping any newcomers in. It kind of helps, I would say, almost take some of that fear away. Like, well, if they can do it, and they believe I can do it too, then it kind of like, screw it, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the middle of that indie boom in the late 80s, with guys like Eastman and Laird and Jeff Smith with Bone, and even someone like Terry Moore, that whole scene that kind of got the ball rolling that led to Image. So I always grew up thinking, like, in one way or another that I'd be self-publishing my own stuff, but you kind of get sidetracked and focused on the career aspect of it. And for a while I just had this mentality of like, well, I guess like I have to build up a name in the industry and then I'll self-publish. And it's like, no, like they didn't do that. They did it. And like watching you guys, watching Ethan, it's like it was just this reminder of like, oh, that's right. I don't have to do what some people have done over the past decade. I can just start putting out stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. The
Absolutely.
most famous, successful people don't stay on that paved road. They just blow through all those trees and just fucking do their thing.
Right.
And that's great that everyone's doing that and all that. And Mike, I mean, a little more, Mike Beacon, a little more into how you got into this, though. I mean, what were you looking at? Were you thinking, hey, I'm going to go try to get to an actual publisher? Or were you always convinced that you were going to go the crowdfunding way?
Well, once all the Comic-Gate stuff started, I saw all these campaigns that were just like doing well. I was like, I had this idea in my head for years. And I was like, this is the time to do it. And I just sort of started looking, finding artists, first time out, I sort of stumbled. Actually, I had a colorist lined up, and that didn't work out. But he was good. He didn't, he returned anything I paid him, which is awesome. But then I wound up just taking over coloring, and then we got issue 1 out, and then we got it's like, okay, now I have this out, I can spread that, I can give that out, show people, and then I can launch my campaign. And just were like, I just saw this indie movement coming out, and I was like, this is the best time to do it.
Absolutely. Yep, and you did it. Shit or get off the pot, man, and you got it, and you did it, man. And both of you boys did it, and I think that's great.
Yeah, so let's dive into it, dude. Let's see what these guys have been up to. What's the hype? What is going on here? So, Mr. Beacon, my friend, let's get into it. 7 Legions. Please, pray tell, what is this story about?
Pray tell.
So it's the story of Hiko.
I'm sorry.
It's the story of Hiko. He's an orphan who becomes a samurai in feudal Japan's chaotic Sengoku era. And every night he dreams of the wife of Azrakal, an angel who served in a galactic peacekeeping force known as the 7 Legions. Azrakal uncovered a plot to destroy the 7 Legions from within, and before he could warn anyone, he vanished, and he wound up leaving only his memories behind in the mind of Hiko. Now Hiko has these dreams every night, and he starts to see the people from his dreams in his day-to-day life, and he winds up being drawn into their conflict, while at the same time the clan that adopts him has their own war that threatens their existence. So he's got to choose between saving the galaxy or saving his family.
And what does he choose?
Well, you got to buy the book. It's in demand right now. Weirdo.
I tried. What do we,
Yeah.
That's
awesome. So each issue is split into 2 halves. You got the dream half that is drawn by Henry Ponciano, and you got the day-to-day life of the continued adventures of Hiko, which are drawn by Pablo Romero, and he's doing an anime style. So it's kind of like a Eastern and Western styles, dividing up the story and sort of depicting both halves.
That's smart, and because you can get twice the work done in the same amount of time. That's really smart.
Yeah, that was part of my thinking too.
Well done.
And it's been pretty effective, because there was a week where I got like 10 pages in because they were both turning in like a page a day.
Nice. Wow. That was a good week, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, so let's head over to Indiegogo, man. Let's see what we got going on here. So you are fulfilled now. You've met your goal, which was $3,714. You're currently at $4,319 by 100 backers, and you are in demand. How long are you going to be in demand for?
I am thinking if we don't reach our first stretch goal, then we'll be in demand until about, I would say, I'm looking at March. Most likely, to get the books, to get issue 2 finished, and then get it to the printer. but if we reach that first stretch goal, which will unlock issue 3, then that'll probably push the date back. But I set the release date at July of next year just to be safe, just so it's a goal that we can, regardless, we should easily be able to reach that. So we'll be fulfilling on time regardless. But if we don't, if we just fund up to issue 2, then we'll be fulfilling several months ahead of time.
Oh, very cool. So I'm gonna play I'm gonna actually play your Indiegogo video for any viewers out there that haven't seen this yet. So everyone, let's check it out. Grab your popcorns, get your snuggle bunnies, get your blankets, cause it's motion picture time. Very cool, very cool.
Smart, right? Short, smart.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Yep.
Horrible,
Great
Beacon.
job. And
horrible.
What was your initial goal? What did you want to make?
The initial goal was 3,000.
So that's smart.
Yeah.
No, that's smart that you did that.
Now, how did you
Some
come up?
guys ask for $60,000 up front, and if if you're Frank Cho, you can get it, or EBS or some. But that's a tough, and we see that too much, especially with our 80 episodes right now. We've seen that just too many times of people trying to ask way, way too much.
And sometimes they get it, which is I don't want to say it's a shock, but they do get it.
It's a pleasant surprise.
It's a pleasant surprise. And more than that, though, you just got to kind of be realistic and down to earth of what you really can pull off, and just keep growing it. Because as the readers read and they like and let a friend borrow or this and that, you start building your brand and you're building your series and your books. Now, how did you come up with what did you do to put together your campaign? How did you come up with your stretch goals? How did you come up with your awards? How did you come up with what you wanted to give?
Well, I developed a campaign budget and just sort of crunch the numbers on there. And it's been kind of nice having that, because I can just input any. If I find some place to do something cheaper and better, then I can just plop that number in there and it'll calculate it instantly. So I just sort of crunched the numbers, found out what I would need as a base level, and then just went from there. Created things what I would need for stretch goals. So I won't be in this position where I'm a few thousand away from being able to fulfill thousands of dollars away from being able to fulfill the campaign, but already have met the goal. So each stretch goal, I'll be breaking even at very least. So
now issue 3 is going to come out, correct? As a stretch goal?
Yeah, if we reach our first stretch goal, which is at 8,000, it's a bit far, but we got until March.
Yeah, heck yeah! It's like a whole new beginning for you, you know. And you're already $4,000 ahead of the game. So all you need to do is raise $4,000. So, bro, you got to get out there, man. You got to get, if it's one thing I learned, and if I bothered anybody, I apologize. But man, I was making tweets every day. I was going live on Facebook every day, and YouTube. And believe it or not, Facebook is still incredibly viable. For crowdfunding. I was really surprised, but so many of your friends are on Facebook, and they'll support you if you ask them. Hopefully,
And you're continuing. I'm looking at your reward schedule here, and 8,000 you're issue 3, 14,000 you're at issue 4, 22,000 you're at issue 5. So you're really trying to I think it's actually pretty neat that these additional issues are goals. Now, let me ask you something, though. Say you do reach, let's say you even reach 14,000, right? And now everyone who's backed by March is going to get, issues 1 through 4. will your, is the next campaign going to be for issue 5 and 6, and your stretch goals continue the rest? Are you going to continue
Yep.
that?
Yeah, that's the model I'm working with. I like to think of it as kind of the Netflix version of a comic book, because normally you get like a monthly release for comics. Well, like with Netflix, they release an entire season at once. TV shows they release it weekly. So I want, like with my campaigns, what I want to set up with this series is release a whole arc all at once if we raise that much.
So you're telling me you're creating the Beacon binge books.
Yeah, instead of Netflix and chill,
That's it.
7 Legions and chill.
That's
it. Nice.
Very cool, man. That's very cool. Now, do you have any other books or series that you're currently working on, or is everything right now with 7 Legions?
I mean, I'm working on 4 other people as a colorist. I'm working on Cyborg USA and the Ballad of Dusty Tortillas, and I'm going to be aiming to finish those up by the end of the month. Earlier than that if possible. But yeah, I got hired onto those just by getting word about my project out. People saw my colors and got interested in hiring me.
So let me ask you a question. So you're now a colorist for other creators with their books, and did all this pick up when you started your involvement with Comicsgate?
Yeah, like I was just like in these little small groups, just sort of talking, sharing our stuff. People are like, I actually kind of like that. And they're like, okay, like how much you want to make per page? Just work out a deal.
Yeah. So you're not only selling your books. This group, this group of all these creators that you've met and streams you've been on has also now generated additional work for you. That's pretty cool, man. That's very cool. That's awesome.
And it's especially awesome considering last year when I did issue 1, I only wound up coloring that out of a last resort because I had initially planned on having someone else color it, but then that didn't work out, so I just was like grabbed an oar.
Very cool, man. Good for you. Nice. Good for you. I hope that keeps growing for you. Yeah.
Outstanding. Friggin' standing. Well done.
And so now I think it's time that we head on over and let's find out why the gods do fear them.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, you are up on the table, sir.
You got it.
Ooh, you're up on the table, Mr. Murphy, top of the line team.
Quite to toy. All right.
He's like, Billy, enough. Let me get to it.
I know.
Okay. All right, Mr. Murphy. So tell us, man. Tell us about Gods Fear Me. How did this one?
You got it. So the Gods Fear Me is the love child of Ghost in the Shell and Call of Cthulhu. 200 years after the fall of man, androids roam the wastelands of Earth, hunting down the elder alien gods who killed us all. One android in particular, Kedzi, has abandoned her duties and is hunting one alien in particular, the Puppet King. And he's responsible for disfiguring her in combat by cutting off her arm. It's during this quest for vengeance that she crosses paths with Brian, a young boy who may be the key to saving what little is left of humanity. Book 1 deals with Kedzi struggling to choose between her obligations towards humanity and her thirst for revenge. And it comes in at 32 pages, and the base book itself is $15.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So, now, I'm just curious. I want to go back in time about Samurai and Dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
That now it wasn't successful, right? The first time.
Right.
So what changed when you ran it again? What did you do differently, and what did you learn from it to help make the Gods Fear successful?
Sure. Well, like I was saying earlier, a lot of it was just kind of getting my feet wet and figuring out what crowdfunding today was, like what the indie/CG scene was. I really didn't have much of a social following built up beforehand, so it really was just me asking complete strangers for money, so that didn't help out at all. Um, and what changed was, getting out in front of people, building an audience, letting people get to know me, and I lowered the goal by 2,000, so it was 6,000, just like this campaign is.
Mhm.
And like one of the biggest things was I reached out to as many of my backers between the relaunch as I could,
Mm-hmm.
and just asked them, hey, what do I have to do to keep you? Like, what made you back in the first place? What can I do to improve? And the overwhelming response was, we want to give you more money than you're allowing us to give you. Because, like, the first campaign, I took the approach of what your boy Zach did with Iron Sights. Like,
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
okay. I was like, okay, it's a black and white book. It's an unknown artist, relatively speaking. Like, I'm just gonna go in there lean, and the campaign is just gonna be the book and like maybe one or two extras, but that's it. And like this community, like they want to help fund your dreams, and to get there, you have to offer them what collectors want. So between that first and second campaign, like I figured out a bunch of ways to extend the campaign. Like I added a prequel book, which is now going to be standard with all of our campaigns, and I added a swag bag tier with a bunch of extra collectibles in it, like a poster of the cover and so on. So it really was just listening to the fan base that I had built up and expanding from there.
Nice, nice. For everybody out there, if you're not aware, Mike is also a very generous person. You've contributed to what, 44 other campaigns of other creators,
Yeah, for sure.
and thank you for that. I mean, I think that's wonderful that you do that. But what makes you decide to support a campaign? What kind of advice? What are you looking for in a campaign that might help someone out there who might want to be the next Mike Murphy?
I mean, like since I do both writing and illustrating, but I mainly think of myself as a writer. Like I'm a story guy, so for me it comes down to like does what you're presenting grab me from a storytelling standpoint? Like sure, like I love gorgeous art, and there's like a wide range of artistic styles I appreciate, but that story, and a lot of that story can be distilled down to an engaging trailer. That story's got to grab me. Otherwise, like there have been some campaigns where it's like I think conceptually it's cool or the art's amazing, but just it doesn't grab me. And I don't know. Like I think that also extends to like why I'm such like a film buff. Like I've just always been about story.
Nice. Yeah, that says it right there, everybody.
Let me ask a quick question though. So you're right and illustrating. Now, when you hire an artist to do your stuff, do you kind of do like any pencil roughs or anything to send to them for your vision, or do you let them take your script and kind of run with it?
I unless there's like a communication issue we're having where it's like I just like have written a panel description poorly and they're not understanding what I'm asking for. Like in that case, I might like really quickly thumbnail out like, okay, this is specifically what I want. But for the most part, like I like that comics are collaborative, and I want the artist to feel like they're putting in as much as I am. So when it comes to the visuals, I just kind of take a hands off approach, and it's like, hey, I know in my head, like when I'm writing it, how I see it, theoretically on the page, but I'm not going to tell you that because you're your own creator, and I want you to like have agency in this book.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yep.
No, that's perfect, man. That makes sense. I think that's actually some really good advice. Kind of how you're doing it. I think other people may, find that helpful as well. And but let's get back into it though. Let's get back into the gods fear me. I know we kind of went off kind of on a side note with more of your beginnings, but where are you standing with this book? So correct me, did you say that this is a 15 book series?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, it's going to be 3 volumes altogether, and we're doing one a year. So by 2021, the whole thing should be wrapped up.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now let's talk promoting one's comic. Right, Nile?
Yes, definitely.
There was an interesting way of promoting a comic, wasn't there?
There was. Do tell.
Could someone have gone to a Comic-Con and cosplayed one of their characters?
Really? Wait, you're
Sir?
losing me. You're losing me.
What?
What?
Oh. Uh-oh.
Wait, what happened?
Didn't somebody didn't one of you guys or is that a lie that I heard? Cosplay one of your characters at a con?
Yep.
I don't think I would fit into Kedsy's outfit. I don't have the export.
You can always try. I mean,
well, forgive me then.
Was that one of our little facts or something we found?
I thought that
Yep.
Did I skip over
a little
something?
research and I'm sadly mistaken. Well, yeah, Beacon, why wouldn't you cosplay?
well, I got into cos.
Why not? Why do you hate cosplayers?
Beacon hates cosplayers.
Why does Beacon
heard
hate
that about him.
Hashtag Beacon hates cosplay.
Actually, funny point. Let's see if I can get the camera pointed at it. There's one of my old cosplay props up there. I actually cosplayed. Yeah, I cosplayed Volstagg one year. But yeah, like I did go to a convention cosplaying as one of my characters.
There you go.
It was
It was him.
Yep. I cosplayed Josiah, who is he's a blood elf, and he's a heavy weapons guy. I had the armor. It was. I did the face paint one day, but then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this again.
That's actually not a bad idea, though. If you think, especially if you're starting, like if you got someone that you can do it. You know who else does that sort of song? Her friend, who also assists her with a lot of stuff at conventions. She dresses up as her character, and you know that I don't think that's bad, especially if you're trying to get people to learn your product, you know, or see what you have, and you know what's more catching than to actually see someone dressed up in it, you know, because that I'll be honest, for me walking around, if I saw someone dressed up in cosplay right at the booth that had the books of that character, I probably would go and check it out and be like, oh, what is this?
For sure.
You know, because then
what
you know what it is.
Mike,
Oh, sorry, I was just going really quick. I was gonna say, you know what it is? It's the you kind of want, well, if it's cosplay, like, what is this? You know, how popular is this? What's over here? You know.
Yeah, people are curious, you know, and like, oh, what is that? And you get it out there, especially if it's a good costume too.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can
So
go ahead, Billy.
I think that, and you know, getting on, on John's, you know, getting on with John and Ethan to, you know, to talk about, you know, your book.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
not that you know, any way you can, you know, come on. Like I said, that's I don't think when you're going to promote your stuff, and it's like that in any business, you really, I mean, I guess you can go too far, but I think promote it any way you can. Anyway, get it out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said from, like, when I first jumped into the deep end of all this, like, I'll hang out with anyone that's willing to talk to me. Like, it's all networking and it's all building up an audience. Like, even if it's just one person checking out a stream, like, if you connect with that person, that's another potential reader.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, what are you guys using? What are your main promotional tactics? We'll start with you, Beacon.
I basically just go onto streams, talk about it, promote it. I've got a YouTube channel. I haven't touched it in a while because busy with the campaign and then working on these other projects. But I do videos as SJW Skeletor, and I basically just help. Yeah. He's very woke.
SJW Skeletor.
Yeah.
He's very woke. Yeah. So I do these reviews of other indie comic creators' books, and I just sort of do it from the perspective of a woke Skeletor, and just find little things to get offended by in the book, and it gives them exposure, and a lot of people seem to like them. So once I've got time again, I'll start picking up on that again, and just have a little blurb at the end about my stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really don't think you can lose.
It's quite a concept. That's pretty funny. We'll have to put a link. Well, we'll have Frank Amazing get a link into the this episode description for you for that channel. Mike, do you have a channel or anything? Are you doing any streams or anything?
I haven't hosted my own streams, but that's going to be changing in the new year. I've got an idea for a show I want to run past some of the other people in the scene. Like, do you remember that old show from maybe like 15 years ago, Dinner for Five? Like Jon Favreau hosted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to do like comics for $5, and I want like a really tight, like 30 to 45 minute show edited down of like this sprawling conversation that just kind of goes wherever between like 5 people.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Nice.
So-
Smart. Now, who else do you going to run it by? Now, like you said, you work with your wife on this.
Oh yeah.
Are there times like, and I do the same thing, so I'm bringing this up because, and Nile, you're going to get into it too, that, my wife, I'm upstairs, my wife is downstairs. She does all the business stuff. She is my, fiercest supporter and my harshest critic. But I created it though. She's not really the co-creator of She or any of my projects. She just kind of runs the business. Are there times between two co-creators who are married?
Mm-hmm.
How challenging can that be to separate your personal from your business?
Oh,
you
it
know,
can be.
and you ever just like, honey, let me just take over. Let me do it. Like, you know what I mean? Do you get into that sort of thing?
Yeah, it can be very challenging. Creatively speaking, like there's a project that we're hoping to get off the ground either next year or the year after. But for the most part, the way we run the business is I handle all the conceptual stuff. Like, she'll have input before we approach an artist, to hire them. Just to make sure like the project is where it needs to be before we actually move into production. But like honestly, she's kind of the machinery of Chibi Comics. Like she handles promotion better than I do. She handles crowd interaction better than I do. She handles a lot of the business and logistics stuff so that I can just focus on going on streams and promoting on Twitter. Yeah, like she really keeps the ship going.
Nice. So is she your muse?
She is. She is. She really is.
Is she watching right now?
She probably has it on out there.
She
Like,
watching, right?
Probably. Like the way our lives work right now is like if one of us is doing a stream or like deep on like a deadline or something, then we recently had a kid about 15 months ago. So
congratulations.
Oh,
thank you.
Me
So
too.
Niall,
like,
are your sons around that age too?
Yeah. Yep.
oh wow, congrats.
Yeah. You want to have a play date?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sweet. Should we invite
So-
the kids?
Yeah, them too.
Cool.
So yeah, basically, like if one of us is in the office, the other one's out there taking care of him. So that's kind of where our lives are at production-wise right now.
Excellent.
Awesome, man. That's great. So, just for the
Well, you
mob
guys are
seat,
creating more than just comics together.
we're
I
gonna
love
just
it.
ramble on now for the rest of the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for
That's
mob
fine.
seat, we're gonna just ramble on. So, do you guys like crunchy tacos or soft tacos?
Soft.
Yeah, soft.
I like crunchy ones.
I like
Niall?
crunchy. I like crunchy.
They always-
Sometimes I
I
like
love it.
soft.
I love the
They always-
Taco Bell Dorito ones.
If I eat,
Oh
if I,
man.
if I eat a crunchy taco, I eat it like this. If I eat a soft taco, I eat it like this.
What the fuck?
What?
They always fall apart in my hands. I just grab them too hard, and they.
And it breaks, right? The soft
Yeah.
taco, and you got to eat it like that, right? Like
Right.
sideways.
Yeah, you got it like that. And that's how I eat tacos. Now, sometimes when I'm eating burritos, I eat them like this because the bottom can blow out. Or then other times, like when you're eating like quesadillas, you'll eat it like pizza.
Right,
Beacon,
right.
how do you eat burritos?
Yeah, just sort of cup them at the bottom and
Do you cup the
Nailed it.
burritos so they don't fall out? Cool. What?
Oh man.
What? We're
All
talking
right.
about eating food, bro.
Crunchy. Let's do a poll. Let us know what you guys like out there. Crunchy or soft? And don't take pictures of yourself pretending to eat a taco like Nile just did. We don't want to see that.
Oh,
Let's
come
talk
on.
about the perk level for the troops. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go, bro.
So yeah, that's. I mean, a lot of these tiers and perks are carried over, from Samurai and Dinosaurs. The biggest one being, support the troops, and that's you get 2 copies, and then we send 3 copies out to the troops via Operation Paperback.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly can't remember who gave me that suggestion during the second Samurai campaign, but it's. I mean, like, to be honest, from a business standpoint, it's a great way to help get that number closer towards the goal. But at the same time, I like to think that you are doing some good in the process.
And you are. And you really are doing some good. So well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Well done.
let me ask you this: for anyone that's starting out, like you guys, both of you kind of were influenced by other things. I mean, for anyone that's starting out that are nervous, or we'll start with you, Murphy. What's the one best piece of advice you can give to someone who's looking to start a crowdfunding campaign?
Pick a social media platform and focus on that for the better part of like 6 months to a year, if you can, before you launch. Because just basically just making my mistakes, just heading into it cold and thinking that just through sheer force of will you'll be able to pull it off. It's like it really doesn't work that way. Like, you have to build an audience before they exist to support you.
Mm-hmm.
True. That's very true.
That is true. That's great advice.
Yep.
And usually most people are like, "Oh, check out the shipping," But I'm glad that you kind of went another way. Like, pick a platform, focus on that platform, and just kind of excel at that and grow. Now, what are you finding as the best platform right now, currently in the social media arena?
I mean, like, if we're just talking purely social media, it's Twitter. But if we're talking in terms of like engagement and like outreach, it's YouTube. I mean, and that's why I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel. But it's that thing of like producing a YouTube video is a part-time job, and I've already got, between the freelance work and now the comic work, I've already got 2 full-time jobs. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So like my platform of choice is Twitter, because it's easy for me to engage with someone really quick, or like, put out some promotional bit of information really quick, and then I can just get back to like, like taking care of Clark or focusing on freelance work. So, but yeah, like between the two, like the edge goes to YouTube, but functionally Twitter's the best.
Yeah, awesome. Beacon, I mean, what is what's your one piece of advice? And if it's the same, you can say it's the same.
Yeah, definitely find a good community to network with. And I found that really helped out, because I had people like every day. Tinfoil Hat Nick, if he's in the chat, I'm not sure, but he was, him and a few others were always out there every day posting my link on social media. It was awesome. And like, those guys in War Campaign were awesome. They helped me out huge. And then like, just other creators getting advice from them on shipping, on printers and all that. And sometimes they'll help you out big time. Like right the night the last night of the campaign, I had gone on with Matt Winger and Adam Friended and a few others, and and later on that night, it happened to be after we got funded, but that's where like how we got from like 3,000 to 3,700. Oh, pulling out from. But
he's just getting comfortable, folks.
And isn't that awesome, though? You know what I mean? That you have, like I said, you build this community. Like I reached out. Ro made a video for me and
Yeah,
shared
great
it.
video.
You know, basically, and it was unbelievable. You know, it just I'm like, can you
Yeah.
share this? And he actually went and made a video and
That's
had
awesome.
graphics and
Yeah,
everything. And then
but,
EBS had me on his show, and I was on for 3 hours. We closed it out.
You're right.
Or 2
Yeah.
hours
Yeah.
and stuff. And oh my gosh, the money it was crazy.
But
Yeah.
It's great. You know, it really is. It's wonderful to have this cool, comics community that we all share this same common bond of love of the craft. And comics truly are for everyone. You know,
Yeah,
and it works, and it's good. It's good to have that positive energy. People can get too mired up in the negativity or the garbage, that goes along in every industry.
Yeah.
For
Some
sure.
industries are a little more, gatekeeping than usual than others, like this one, which is pretty weird. But what are you gonna do, right? So
Yeah.
But you find your good people. You're fair to people. They're fair to you. You know. Just and just stick with them. That's it. And look what they did for you in one night.
And,
look what they did.
Yeah, and it was crazy because when I got him friended, he went on he was on with Ethan that same night that last night of the campaign, and he's like, oh, by the way, I was just on with this guy. He's got this great campaign. This was the first night I'd ever talked to him, and on stream, and he was like, and he gave me a shout out on Ethan's stream, and I didn't know it at the time, but then there's just this huge jump in backers because he gave me a shout out on Ethan's stream.
That's great, man.
Well, let me ask you guys a question though. I want to go a little devil's advocate here. Now, you guys are having great success, this and that, but more and more I see comments like, oh, funds are low this month. I've already backed too much. I've backed too much. I mean, is the well getting run dry? Is it now too many creators pushing too many things that either people can only support a small amount of someone's project, or what do you guys think of that? Because I'm just seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I think part of it is seasonal. And that plays into what I was saying of I did everything wrong with that first campaign.
Yeah.
I think launching a campaign anywhere after Halloween till the middle of February is a mistake. Because people are spending a lot of money and then recovering from spending a lot of money. So that's part one. The other part is, sure, I can see that there are more people coming to the table, but I don't think that means that the table has a finite amount of space. I think it really does come down to, is your product worth a person's time and money? And if it is, I think the cream is going to rise to the top, and those projects that are excellent and ready for prime time, so to speak, I think they'll find their audience. You might have to relaunch once or twice like I did, but eventually people are going to hear about it and they're going to see, oh, it's not a cash grab, it's not this, it's not that, it's a product that's enjoyable and made with care and love. So
in the comments we are getting some comments here in the chat that some guys are saying yes. Yeah, no, there is too much out there. I can't back it all, or some are saying, well, I slowed down because I'm still waiting for the ones that I've backed already. I'm just curious to see, because with any great growing industry, you almost hit that point where it kind of floods, right? And like you said, the cream will come to the top, right? Everything will go, but then does it lose its significance? How to maintain the support without it losing the significance.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, if the audience is saying yes, this is a consumer movement, so to speak. So, I mean, that's the point where it's all right, I need to take some time and reach out to some of these people and be like, hey, do you think there's too much content? Do you think 2 or 3 projects a year from us at Chibi Comics is too much? Is that not enough? What do you think of our publishing plan?
Right.
Yeah,
and you're absolutely right, Mike. And I agree about the seasonal. I do think it's seasonal too. I think I got away with it just because it was the first She comic in 15 years.
Right.
And I kind of just bowled my way through it, and I'm, as I said, Francisco Polito said, "Well, if anyone can do it, it's you because you're Billy fucking Tucci." You know?
Yeah, you're
So-
Billy Tucci, man. Of
Yeah.
course
So,
you're okay.
but the thing was, I had to do it now. We had to go, as I was saying
You got schedules to
on
meet,
my
bro.
what?
You got
Yeah, you got to
schedules to
schedule
meet. You got things lined
yeah,
up.
because we want to do 3 more campaigns next year.
Right.
So this would have pushed everything back. And this was our Eisenhower. Like, damn it, let's go. For D-Day, even though the weather was inclement weather, they weren't sure it was going to hold up, but they went for it.
Sure.
And,
Also, real quick, if I might interject, another thing that I just thought of is hopefully we're not dealing with a finite audience. Hopefully more people are going to come to this publishing revolution that's going on right now, and hopefully that'll bolster things financially a little bit.
Well, do you think, is there encouragement then to start marketing out, like continue your marketing, Do you try to get your books sold elsewhere? Are you going to start doing conventions? Do you now try to hit the Kickstarter market as well? Or do you try to continue to grow your reach, or do you stay where you are and hope that the reach comes to you?
No, my opinion is you reach out elsewhere. And if we're talking about just the internet space, like, I think it's important not to just go on independent publishing streams or Comicsgate streams. Like, if there's audiences out there, like, I know a lot of the anime and manga community is starting to like filter into our side of things, like you bring more people to the party instead of going to look for a new party necessarily.
Right.
Maybe.
And Blevin, and Blevin said, I don't think seats at the table is the problem. It's people bringing food to dinner, and there's a big difference between bringing turkey and bringing cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I get you.
And then what did Lee? So was it Lee? Someone was talking about Peter Cimetti, what he was doing to be
He
able
was
to
saying
keep
that
costs down.
Yeah, he was saying that maybe there should be some type of like distribution.
Yes.
And I agree to that effect. I think there should be that type of distribution, and there is that distribution's out there already. If you want to go through those channels, but again, I think it would have to be really more based on the popularity of your book. Correct? I mean, if your book's, if you're killing it crowdfunding, and you've got people now demanding to purchase this outside of your campaigns or outside of your in demand, then I think you're now at the point of you need to do some distribution. But I think that's ways down the road for most creators currently, right? At their state, because they're making good chunks of change, and obviously most of what you make goes back into your next book or to continue going on. Again, it's, you can make money and do well, but it takes time. You build it up like steps,
and that's true. But another thing is to get more product out. Like, you know what I mean? Like get it to like now you're saying into the comic shops. Contact Diamond. Yeah. The more people that see it, or contact someone like Alterna and see if they would be interested in publishing for you. Yeah, sure. Contact Image Comics. Your book's already done, so you can go to Image. Excuse me. And do it. But another thing is, what's interesting is a mob seat right here said, I think making more books a year to keep fan interest from dying out. A book a year means a kid can graduate high school in time that it takes to make 3 books. And he's absolutely right. So instead of maybe doing one 72-page comic a year, crowdfund, do 3 campaigns and your book is 24 pages each.
Well, we're taking a similar approach to that. Like, so, Samurai and Dinosaurs was kind of a self-contained graphic novel, and with The Gods Fear Me, this is the first of 3 titles that we're going to be kind of rotating over the course of the next 3 years. We'll be premiering Deep Well, The Caliber of Death in next summer, and then we have the Dark Moon Agency rolling out as well next year. And each of those are going to be 32 pages, just like The Gods Fear Me. So our hope as a company is we'll just have this like constant rotation of content so that people never get bored or forget about what we're doing.
Nice. Good job. Yep. I think that's a plan for everybody out there.
There you go. So, man, guys, thanks so much for, coming on. We've been on, we're well past the hour that we usually like to stay on, and it's been really great talking to you guys. Before we do go, I want to do our crowdfunding call out, and then after that, just a bit on how everyone can follow what you're doing and whatnot. So for tonight's crowdfunding call out, we've got the Collected Devil Jack Volume #1. So it's Jack collects Devil Jack 1 through 3. Now this is from Tim Tyler, who is the creator of this. This originally came back in 1994. Check it out. There's no video or anything. Go through, read it. It's a really cool indie comic. It kind of has a very anime mixed with like that 90s style illustration. Very pow with the colors in your face graphics. So when you get a chance, check it out. Cool book, fun. Definitely totally an indie a legend here. That used to hit the shelves back in the day, and now they're coming back. So if you get a chance, please head on over to Kickstarter and check. Yeah, I know I got reward surveys I still have to do. Please check out this campaign. There's 7 days to go, and they're about 3/4 of the way funded. So again, please check out, pledge, share, whatever you can do to help Tim Tyler, get to his goal. So gentlemen, Mr. Beacon. Let me ask you first, how can everyone stay in touch with what you're doing and what you have going on?
All right, I'm on Twitter at the number 7 Legions Beacon, and on YouTube at Michael Beacon. And I've got my website, 7legions.com, which will have all the details about the story. But yeah, that's much it.
Mr.
That's
Murphy.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at chibi_Mike, and you can find me on YouTube at the Chibi Mike, all one word.
Fantastic.
Nice.
And then again, everyone, and Billy, your Kickstarter campaign is complete right now.
Yep.
Your Indiegogo campaign, the whole campaign is complete, but now excuse me, you are in demand mode.
Yes, and if I may say something, if it's all right.
Yes.
This is our first crowdfunding comics show since the campaign ended, the official campaign ended. So if I may, I just want to thank everyone out there. If you guys had pledged or shared it, thank you all so much. You blew us all away. It was just an amazing, fun 21-day campaign, 22 days. And Debbie and I and everyone from Team She, Nile, thank you, Nile, for doing all that you did. Nile did all the graphics for us. Nile made my video for me. He put it together. So thank you, old chum. All of our promos, Nile did all that for the princely sum of nothing. I just want to thank you all. And what's really cool is now that we're in demand, I think we're over $3,000, almost $4,000 from when the campaign ended on Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're putting things together right now. We're going to continue with stretch goals. So if we hit $65,000 on Indiegogo, we're going to add another stretch goal. And that stretch goal is going to be, we're going to expand the book to 56 pages, which will have a nice cover gallery, some behind the scenes stuff, etc. But that's for everyone. Just as a thank you for us, Deb and I appreciate everything you guys all did for us. But I also think as this campaign goes, as Mr. Murphy and Mr. Beacon know, it being in demand mode, we're going to be in demand mode until March, probably till we ship. So we're going to start, we're going to keep this campaign going with the perks. We'll start adding more stretch goals. We got some great ideas for some stretch goals. And, we just thank you guys all, each and every one of you out there who helped us. And why not? If the campaign keeps growing, everyone should get, benefit from it. So we'll give out stretch goals. And what's cool is that all the Kickstarter people will benefit from it as well.
Yes.
So, and we're going to have some more Indiegogo exclusives, I think. So,
yeah, and then
thank you guys, all of you. Thank you all.
Yeah, and your exclusive, you have the exclusive Sunfire edition.
Yep, the new Sunfire edition is our exclusive edition right there.
That's an in-demand exclusive.
It's in demand, yeah. It's an in-demand exclusive, and the cool thing is we've had 2 people offer to buy it. Mm-hmm. And I said, Deb, I got 2 emails from people that want to buy it. So she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell it. I love that cover so much. But I kind of don't have the room to put it anywhere. So I'm like, well, let's talk about that. So we might even be putting that original artwork up.
Wow.
for sale.
Nice.
So, but thank you guys, every one of you. Thank you so much for having us, for doing this for us, and we're not going to let you down. Trust me.
Awesome. So yeah, guys,
We went
keep help
58
pushing it for
We
everyone.
went from 58 to 61. So
Yeah, don't forget, just because a campaign isn't ongoing, the in-demand is still there. Please
these-
continue
and-
supporting. You got 3 creators right now on the show, all with campaigns in demand. It never hurts to, everyone does, I'm going to call it the toilet scroll. Sometimes you go in there with your phone and you're just scrolling and scrolling. Throw some shares, whatever you're doing, any free time you have. Think about these guys out there that are creating these books. The more you can help get their projects supported, the more they can do in the future. And if you're a fan of the work,
absolutely.
you're going to want the work. So the more they can get, the more they can put into it. They can hire better artists. They can hire better equipment if they are the artists. They can do so many things. Look, they're not going out to do this to buy a car, unless they need one. But I mean, for the most part, a lot of these guys do want to continue to make the product better and bigger.
right.
For sure.
All right.
Well, all right.
So thanks everyone. Tomorrow night we're gonna have how do I say his last name? But is it Tibert? Art Tibert?
RT Bear.
Art T Bear.
Good dude.
Tomorrow night we have Art T Bear
Great
on
guy.
the show. As those of you do know me, I do have a new day job, a wonderful new day job. So once I get that whole schedule set, I'll start getting the promos back on a better schedule. But I will get Art's promo done tonight, and I'll get that posted up with the link to his episode, which will be tomorrow night at 9. So we'll have Art T Bear on talking his latest INDIEGOGO, his past work. I mean, he's been in the industry a long time. So I think it'll be definitely a fun show.
Mugwai said, "I'll sell you the car."
All right, everyone.
Hey,
thank
we
you
can all benefit from this, right? Salesman
Oh
too.
yeah,
There
Why
you go.
not?
the Tupperware cover. All right, guys.
What
So
about creators building? Mob asked, "What about creators building with each other's products for
Bundling.
stretch goals?"
bundling with
That's
each
pretty
other's
cool,
products or
but-
stretch goals.
What?
He said bundling.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
mean,
takes-
bundling. I'm sorry,
bundling,
I
yeah.
said bundling. I think that's cool, but I think it can get very complicated. And what if you advertise someone's other books as a stretch goal and they never deliver it to you?
Right.
Mm.
Right.
As TJ said, cross funding. I think it's a great idea in theory. It kind of frightens me as to something that could lead to a great disaster.
Yeah, but I think some people are already doing that. Because,
Oh, really? Oh.
well, think about it this way, right? Shinobi Sasquatch, right? He did
The
one.
crossover, yeah.
They did the crossover, and that was a stretch goal, I believe.
Right.
And
Oh.
forgive me, I'm bad with like names and stuff. I do everything visually. What was the book they crossed with? It's
Monster MD.
Monster MD. There you go. So Monster MD
Yeah.
and Shinobi Sasquatch had that collaboration, which was a stretch goal. So that was some
Both-
cross funding that was done.
Both of them are great books, and Rob Willis, the artist on Shinobi Sasquatch, he's going to be doing a poster for me that's going to be
I
some stretch
freaking
goals.
love
So.
his work. Unbelievable.
Nice,
Oh, yeah.
dude. He would be great for your book,
I know.
Rob.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Well, make that call, Holmes.
Oh, I've reached out. I've sent messages. We've had some exchanges. All right, guys. Well, awesome. Thanks again, Michael Beacon and Mike Murphy for coming on the show. We'll continue
Thanks
to
for having
support your projects. We'll continue to push the links periodically through our social media networks and channels. And again, once you're on the show, you're part of the Crowdfunding Comics family. If you have another project coming up, shoot us an email, DM one of us, let us know what's going on. Or if you hear of a good project that you don't think we know of yet, please bring it to our attention, and we can continue to expose all these upcoming great creators to this world of independent comic books.
Indeed. Thank you all for coming. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been wonderful.
Yes. All right, gentlemen.
Great
Everyone have a
show.
great night.
Great art. Great books. Guys, please pledge, share. If you can pledge, of course, that's the most important. We get it. It's Christmas time, the holidays. If you can't pledge, please share their social media, share their links, send it out to your friends, and rock and roll. I'm gonna
Rock
get
and roll,
something to eat.
people. Yeah, me too, bro.
All right.
All right, everyone. Have a great
All right.
night. We will see you tomorrow night with Art T Bear at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Merry
time.
Later.
Christmas, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Merry Christmas, people. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Good night. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.